We are arrived at part 4, so just listen to me. The Kingdom of the Future. Tiltil and Mithil woke up next morning feeling very gay. With childish carelessness, they have forgotten their disappointment. Tiltil was very proud of the compliments which Light had paid him. She seemed as happy as though he had brought the blue board with him. She said with a smile as she stroked the lad's dark curls. I am quite satisfied. You are such a good, brave boy that you will soon find what you are looking for. Tiltil did not understand the deep meaning of her words, but for all that, he was very glad to hear them. And besides, Light had promised him that today he would have nothing to fear in their new expedition. On the contrary, he will meet millions and millions of little children who will show him the most wonderful toys of which no one on earth had the least idea. She also told him that he and his little sister will travel alone with her this time, and that all the others will take a rest while they were gone. That is why at the moment when our chapter opens, they had all met in the underground vaults of the temple. Light thought it as well to look up the elements and things. She knew that if they were left to do as they pleased, they might escape and get into mischief. It was not so very cruel of her, because the vaults of her temple are even lighter and lovelier than the upper floors of human houses, but you cannot get out without her leave. She alone has the power of widening, with a stroke of her wand, a little cleft in an emerald wall at the end of the passage, through which Philly through which you go down a few crystal steps till you come to a sort of cave, all green and transparent, like a forest when the sunlight sweeps through its branches. Usually, this great hall was quite empty, but now it had sofas in it and a gold table laid with fruits and cakes and creams and delicious wines, which Light's servants had just finished setting out. Light's servants were very odd. They always made the children laugh, with their long white satin dresses and their little black caps with a flame at the top. They looked like lighted candles. Their mistress sent them away and then told the animals and things to be very good, and asked them if they would like some books and games to play with. They answered with a laugh that nothing amused them more than eating and sleeping, and that they were very glad to stay where they were. Tilo, of course, did not share this view. His heart spoke louder than his greed or his laziness, and his great dark eyes turned in entreaty on Tiltil, who would have been only too pleased to take his faithful companion with him, if Light had not absolutely forbidden it. I can't help it, said the boy, giving him a kiss. It seems the dogs are not admitted where we are going. Suddenly Tilo sprang up with delight. A great idea had struck him. He had not left his real doggy life long enough to forget any part of it, especially his troubles. Which was the greatest of these? Was it not the chain? What melancholy hours Tilo had spent fastened to an iron ring, and what humiliation he endured with the woodcutter he used to take him to the village, and, with unspeakable silliness, keep him on the lead in front of everybody, thus depriving him of the pleasure of greeting his friends and sniffing the smells provided for his benefit at every street corner and in every gutter. Well, he said to himself, I shall have to submit to the humiliating torture once again, to go with my little god. Faithful to his tradition, he had, in spite of his fine clothes, kept his dog collar, but not his lead. What was to be done? He was once more in despair when he saw Water lying on a sofa and playing in an absent-minded sort of way with her long strings of coral. He ran up to her as prettily as he could, and, after paying her a heap of compliments, begged her to lend him her biggest necklace. She was in a good temper, and not only did what he asked, but was kind enough to fasten the end of the coral string to his collar. Tilo gaily went up to his master, handed him this necklace chain, and, kneeling at his feet, said, "Take me with you like this, my little god. Men never say a word to a poor dog when he is on his chain." "Alas, even like this you cannot come," said Light, who was much touched by this act of self-sacrifice, and, to cheer him up, she told him that fate will soon provide a trial for the children in which his assistance would be of great use. As she spoke these words, she touched the emerald wall, which opened to let her pass through with the children. Her chariot was waiting outside the entrance to the temple. It was a lovely shell of jade, inlaid with gold. They all three took their seats, and the two great white birds harnessed to it at once flew. Vieni, figli? Vieni, amore. Senta su. And the two great white birds harnessed to it at once flew off through the clouds. The chariot travelled very fast, and they were not long on the road, much to the regret of the children, who were enjoying themselves and laughing like anything. But other and even more beautiful surprises awaited them. The clouds vanished around them, and suddenly they found themselves in a dazzling azure palace. Here all was blue. The light, the flagstones, the columns, the vaults, everything, down to the smallest object, was of an intense and fairy-like blue. There was no seeing the end of the palace. The eyes were lost in the infinite sapphire vistas. "How lovely it all is," said Tiltil, who could not get over his astonishment. "Goodness me, how lovely! Where are we?" "We are in the kingdom of the future," said Light, "in the midst of the children who are not yet born. As the diamond allows us to see clearly in this region, which is hidden from men, we shall perhaps find the bluebird here. Look at the children running up." From every side came bands of little children dressed from head to foot in blue. They had beautiful dark or golden hair, and they were all exquisitely pretty. They shouted gleefully, "Live children, come and look at the little live children." "Why do they call us the little live children?" asked Tiltil of Light. "It is because they themselves are not alive yet. They are awaiting the hour of their birth, for it is from here that all the children come who are born upon our heart. When the fathers and mothers want children, the great doors which you see over there at the back are opened, and the little ones go down." "What a lot there are! What a lot there are!" cried Tiltil. "There are many more," said Light. "No one could count them, but go a little further. You will see other things." Tiltil did as he was told and elbowed his way through. But it was difficult for him to move, because a crowd of blue children pressed all around them. At last, by mounting on a step, our little friend was able to look over the throng of inquisitive heads and see what was happening in every part of the hall. It was most extraordinary. Tiltil had never dreamed of anything like it. He danced with joy, and Matilde was hanging on to him and standing on tiptoe so that she might see too, clapped her little hands and gave loud cries of wonder. All around were millions of children in blue, some playing, others walking about, others talking or thinking. Many were asleep, many also were at work, and their instruments, their tools, their machines, which they were building, the plants, the flowers, and the fruits which they were growing or gathering, were all the same bright and heavenly blue as the general appearance of the palace. Among the children moved tall persons, all dressed in blue. They were very beautiful and looked just like angels. They came up to light and smiled and gently pushed aside blue children, who went back quietly to what they were doing, though still watching our friends with astonished eyes. One of them, however, remained standing close to Tiltil. He was quite small. From under his long, sky blue silk dress peeped two little pink and dimpled bare feet. His eyes stared in curiosity at the little live boy, and he went up to him as though in spite of himself. "May I talk to him?" asked Tiltil, who felt half glad and half frightened. "Certainly," said Light. "You must make friends. I will leave you alone. You will be more at ease by yourselves." So saying, she went away and left the two children face to face, shyly smiling. Suddenly, they began to talk. "How do you do?" said Tiltil, putting out his hand to the child. But the child did not understand what that meant and stood without moving. "What's that?" continued Tiltil, touching the child's blue dress. The child, who was absorbed in what he was looking at, did not answer, but gravely touched Tiltil's hat with his finger. "And that?" he lisped. That's my hat," said Tiltil. "Have you no hat?" "No." "What is it for?" asked the child. "It's to say, 'How do you do?' with," Til answered, "and then for when it's cold." "What does that mean, when it's cold?" asked the child. "When you shiver like this, brr, brr," said Til, "and when you go like this with your arms," vigorously beating his arms across his chest. "Is it cold on earth?" asked the child. Yes, sometimes in winter, when there is no fire." "Why is there no fire?" "Because it's expensive and it costs money to buy wood." The child looked at Tiltil again as though he did not understand a word that Tiltil was saying, and Tiltil, in his turn, looked amazed. "It's quite clear that he knows nothing of the most everyday things," thought our hero, while the child stared with no smaller respect at the little live boy, who knew everything. Then he asked Tiltil what money was. "Why, it's what you pay with," said Tiltil, scorning to give any further explanation. "Oh," said the child seriously. Of course, he did not understand. How could he know? A little boy like that, who lived in a paradise where his least wishes were granted before he had learned to put them into words. "How old are you?" asked Tiltil, continuing the conversation. "I am going to be born soon," said the child. "I shall be born in 12 years. Is it nice to be born?" "Oh, yes," cried Tiltil without thinking. "It's great fun." But he was very much at a loss when the little boy asked him how he managed. His pride did not allow him to be ignorant of anything in another child's presence, and it was quite droll to see him with his hands in his breeches pockets, his legs wide apart, his face upturned, and his whole attitude that of a man who is in no hurry to reply. At last he answered with a shrug of the shoulders. "Upon my word, I can remember it so long ago." That's, they say, is lovely, the earth and the live people, remarked the child. Yes, it's not bad, said Tiltil. There are birds and cakes and toys. Some have them all, but those who have none can look at the others. This reflection shows the whole character of our little friend. He was proud and inclined to be rather high and mighty, but he was never envious, and his generous nature made up to him for his poverty by allowing him to enjoy the good fortune of others. The two children talked a good deal more, but it will take too long to tell you all they said, because what they said was something all interesting to themselves. After a while, Light, who was watching them from a distance, hurried up to them a little anxiously. Tiltil was crying. Vieni, amore? Come with us. Oh! See? Hurried up to them a little anxiously. Tiltil was crying, with tears came rolling down his cheeks and falling on his smart coat. She understood that he was talking of his grandmother and that he could not keep back his tears at the thought of the love which he had lost. He was turning away his head to hide his feelings, but the inquisitive child kept asking questions. Do the grannies die? What does that mean, dying? They go away one evening and do not come back. Has yours gone? Yes, said Tiltil. She was very kind to me. And at these words, the poor little fellow began to cry again. The blue child had never seen anyone cry. He lived in a world where grief did not exist. His surprise was great, and he exclaimed, What's the matter with your eyes? Are they making tears? Oh, to him those tears were wonderful things. No, it's not tears, said Tiltil sheepishly. sheepishly. What is it then? But our poor friend will not admit what he looked upon as a weakness. He rubbed his eyes awkwardly and put everything down to the dazzling blue of the palace. The puzzled child insisted. What's that falling down? What's that falling down? Nothing, it's a little water, said Tiltil impatiently, hoping to cut short the explanation. Sorry. But that was out of question. The child was very obstinate, touched Tiltil's cheeks with his finger and asked in a tone of curiosity, Does it come from your eyes, from the eyes? Yes, sometimes when one cries. What does that mean, crying? Asked the child. I have not been crying, said Tiltil proudly. It's the fault of that blue. But if I had cried, it would be the same thing. Do you often cry on art? Not little boys, but little girls do. Don't you cry here? No, I don't know how. Well, you will learn. At that moment, a great breath of wind made him turn his head, and he saw, at a few steps away from him, a large piece of machinery which he had not noticed at first, as he was taken up with his interest in the little child. It was a grand and magnificent thing, but I cannot tell you his name, because these inventions of the kingdom of the future will not be christened by men until they reach the heart. I can only say that Tiltil, when he looked at it, thought that the enormous azure wings that whizzed so swiftly before his eyes were like the windmills in his part of the world, and that, if he ever found the blue bird, its wings will certainly be no more delicate, dainty, or dazzling. Full of admiration, he asked his new acquaintance what they were. Those, said the child. That's for the invention which I shall make on earth. And seeing Tiltil stare with wide open eyes, he added, "When I am on Earth, I shall have to invent the thing that gives happiness. Would you like to see it? It is over there, between those two columns." Tiltil turned around to look. All the children at once rushed at him, shouting, "No, no, come and see mine!" "No, mine is much finer. Mine is a wonderful invention. Mine is made of sugar. His is not good. I'm bringing a light which nobody knows of." And so saying, the last child lit himself up entirely with a most extraordinary flame. Amid this joyous exclamation, the Leaf children were dragged towards the blue workshops, where each of the little inventors, live children, set his machine going. It was a great blue wheel of discs and pulleys and straps and flywheels and driving wheels and cog wheels and all kinds of wheels, which sent every sort of machine skimming over the ground or shooting up the ceiling. Other blue children unfolded maps and plans, or opened great big books, or uncovered azure statues, or brought enormous flowers and gigantic fruits that seemed made of sapphires and turquoises. Our little friends stood with their mouths wide open and their hands clasped together. They thought themselves in paradise. Mithil bent over to look at a huge flower and laughed into its cap, which covered up her head like a hood of blue silk. A pretty child with dark hair and thoughtful eyes held it by stalk and said proudly, "The flowers will all grow like that when I am on Earth." "When will that be?" asked Tiltil. "In 53 years, 4 months and 9 days. Next came 2 blue children bending under the weight of a pole from which was slung a bunch of grapes, each larger than a pear. "A bunch of pears!" cried Tiltil. "No, they are grapes," said the child. They will all be like that when I'm 30. I have found a way." Tiltil would have loved to taste them, but another child came along almost hidden under a basket which one of the tall persons was helping him to carry. His fair-haired, rosy face smiled. This is a spaccador for you. Through the leaves that hung over the wickerwork. "Look," he said. "Look at my apples." "But those are melons," said Tiltil. "No, no," said the child. "They are my apples. They will all be alike when I'm alive. I have discovered the process. I shall never finish if I were to try and describe to my little readers all the wonderful and incredible things that appear before our hero's eyes." But suddenly a loud burst of laughter rang through the hall. A child had spoken of the king of the 9 planets. And Tiltil, very much puzzled and perplexed, looked on every side. All the faces, bright with laughter, were turned to some spot which Tiltil could not see. Every finger pointed in the same direction. But our friend looked in vain. They had spoken of a king. He was looking for a throne with a tall, dignified personage on it, wielding a golden scepter. Over there, lower down, behind you," said Young, 1,000 little voices together. "But where is the king?" Tiltil and Mithil repeated, greatly interested. Then suddenly a louder and more serious voice sounded above the silvery murmur of the others. "Thank you, Mon. Here I am," he said proudly. And at the same time, Tiltil discovered a chubby baby which he had not yet remarked, for he was the smallest and had kept out of the way till then, sitting at the foot of a column in an attitude of indifference, seemingly wrapped in contemplation. The little king was the only one who had taken no notice of the live children. His beautiful liquid eyes as blue as the palace, were pursuing endless streams. His right hand supported his head, which was already heavy with thought. His short tunic showed his dimpled knees, and a golden crown rested on his yellow locks. When he cried, "Here I am!" the baby rose from the step on which he was sitting and tried to climb onto it at one stride. But he was still so awkward that he lost his balance and fell upon his nose. He at once picked himself up with so much dignity that nobody dared make fun of him, and this time he scrambled up on all fours, and then, putting his legs wide apart, stood and eyed Tiltil from top to toe. "You're not very big," said Tiltil, doing his best to keep from laughing. "I shall do great things when I am," retorted the king in a tone that admitted of no reply. "And what will you do?" asked Tiltil. "I shall found the General Confederation of the Solar Planets," said the king in a very pompous voice. Our friend was so much impressed that he could not find a word to say, and the king continued, "All the planets will belong to it, except Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune, which are too ridiculously far away." Thereupon he toddled off the step again and resumed his first attitude, showing that he had said all that he meant to say. Tiltil left him to his meditations. He was eager to know as many more of the children as he could. He was introduced to the discoverer of a new sun, to the inventor of a new joy, to the hero who was to wipe our injustice from the earth, and to the wiseacre who was to conquer death. There were such lots and lots of them that it would take days and days to name them all. Our friend was rather tired and was beginning to feel bored, when his attention was suddenly aroused by hearing a child's voice calling him. "Tiltil, Tiltil, how are you? How are you?" A little blue child came running up from the back of the wall. "This rumor is my hamster trying to escape." Pushing his way through the crowd, he was fair and slim and bright-eyed, and had a great look of metal. "How do you know my name?" asked Tiltil. "It's not surprising," said the blue child, "considering that I shall be your brother." Huh? This time the live children were absolutely amazed. What an extraordinary meeting! They must certainly tell Mommy as soon as they go back. How astonished they will be at home. While they were making this reflection, the child went on to explain. "I am coming to you next year, on Palm Sunday," he said, and he put 1,000 questions to his big brother. Was he comfortable at home? Was the food good? Was Daddy very severe? And Mommy? "Oh, Mommy is so kind," said the little ones, and they asked him questions in their turn. What was he going to do on Earth? What was he bringing? "I am bringing 3 illnesses, oh my God," said the little brother. "Scarlatina, whooping cough, and measles." "Oh, that's all, is it?" cried Tiltil. He shook his head with evident disappointment, while the other continued. "After that, I shall leave you. It will hardly be worthwhile coming," said Tiltil, feeling rather vexed. We can pick and choose," said the little brother pettishly. "They would perhaps have quarrelled without waiting till they were on earth, if they had not suddenly been parted by a swarm of blue children who were hurrying to meet somebody." At the same time, there was a great noise, as if thousands of invisible doors were being opened at the end of the galleries. "What's the matter?" asked Tiltil. "It's time," said one of the blue children. "He's going to open the doors." And the excitement increased on every side. The children left their machines and their labors. Those who were asleep woke up, and every eye was eagerly and anxiously turned to the great opal doors at the back, while every mouth repeated the same name. The word "time, time" was heard all around. and the great mysterious noise kept on, till Till was dying to know what it meant. At last he caught the little child by the skirt of his dress and asked him. "Let me be," said the child very uneasily. "I'm in a hurry. It may be my turn today. It's the dawn rising. This is the hour when the children who are to be born today go down to earth. You shall see. Time is drawing the bolts." "Who is Time?" asked Tiltil. "An old man who comes to call those who are going. My opinion is young," said another child. "He's not so bad, but he won't listen or hear. Beg as they may. If it's not their turn, he pushes back all those who try to go. Let me be. It may be my turn now." Light now hastened towards our little friends in a great state of alarm. Oh my God, it's long, this chapter. And we read just 2 more pages. "I was looking for you," she said. "Come quick. It will never do for Time to discover you." As she spoke these words, she threw her gold cloak around the children and dragged them to a corner of the hall, where they could see everything without being seen. Tiltil was very glad to be so well protected. He now knew that he who was about to appear possessed so great and tremendous a power that no human strength was capable of resisting him. He was at the same time a deity and an ogre. He bestowed life and he devoured it. He sped through the world so fast that you had no time to see him. He ate and ate without stopping. He took whatever he touched. In Tiltil's family, he had already taken Grandad and Granny, the little brothers, the little sisters, and the old blackboard. He did not mind what he took. Joys and sorrows, winters and summers, all was fish that came to his net. Knowing this, our friend was astonished to see everybody in the kingdom of the future running so fast to meet him. "I suppose he doesn't eat anything here," he thought. There he was. The great doors turned slowly on their hinges. There was a distant music. It was the sounds of the earth. A red and green light penetrated into the hall, and Time appeared on the threshold. It was a tall and very thin old man, so old that his wrinkled face was all grey, like dust. His white beard came down to his knees. In one hand he carried an enormous shite, in the other an hourglass. Behind him, some way out, on a sea the color of dawn, was a magnificent gold galley with white sails. "Are they ready? Was our Astrak?" asked Time. At the sound of that voice, solemn and deep as a bronze gong, thousands of bright children's voices, like little silver bells, answered, "Here we are, here we are!" And in a moment, the blue children were crowding round the tall old man, who pushed them all back, and, in a gruff voice, said, "One at a time. Once again, there are many more of you than are wanted. You can't deceive me." Brandishing his shite in one hand and holding out his cloak with the other, he barred away to the rush children, who tried to sleep by him. No one of them escaped the horrid old man's watchful eye. "It's not your turn," he said to one. "You're not due to be born tomorrow. Nor yours either. You got 10 years to wait. At 13 Shepherd, there are only 12 wanted. There is no need for more. More doctors, there are too many already. They are grumbling about it on earth. And where are the engineers? They want an honest man, only one, as a wonderful being." Thereupon a poor child, who had hung back until then, came forward timidly, shaking his thumb. He looked pale and sad, and walked with tottering footsteps. He was so wretched that even Time felt a moment's pity. "It's you!" he exclaimed. "You seem a very poor specimen." And lifting his eyes to the sky with a look of discouragement, he added, "You won't live long." And the movement went on. Each child, when the night, returned to his employment with a downcast air. When one of them was accepted, the others looked at him with envy. Now and then something happened, and when the hero was to fight against injustice refused to go, He clung to his playfellows, who called out to time. He doesn't want to, sir. No, I don't want to go, cried the little fellow with all his might. I would rather not be born. And quite right too, thought Tiltil, who was full of common sense, who knew what things are like on earth. For people always get beatings which they have not deserved, and when they have done wrong, you may be sure that the punishment will fall on one of their innocent friends. I wouldn't care to be in his place, said our friend to himself. I would rather hunt for the blue bird any day. Meanwhile, the little seeker after justice went away sobbing, frightened out of his life by Mr. Time. The excitement was now at its height. The children ran all over the hall. Those who were going packed up their inventions. Those who were staying behind had 1,000 requests to make. Will you write to me? Etc., etc. We finish here for now. Well, I will finish. It's almost finished. They say one can't. Oh, try, do try. Announce my idea. Goodbye, Jean. Goodbye, Pierre. Have you forgotten anything? Don't lose your ideas. Try to tell us if it's nice. Enough, enough, roared Time, in a huge voice, shaking his big case and his terrible shite. Enough, the hunters waited. Then the children climbed into the gold gallery, with the beautiful white silk sails. They waved their hands again to the little friends when they were leaving behind. But on seeing the earth in the distance, they cried out gladly, Art! Art! I can see it! How bright it is! How big it is! And at the same time, as though coming from the abyss, a song arose, a distant song of gladness and expectations. Light, who was listening with a smile, saw the look of astonishment on Tiltil's face, and bent over him. It is the song of the mothers coming out to meet them, she said. At that moment Time will shut the doors, saw our friends, and rushed at them angrily, shaking shite at them. Hurry, said Light, hurry, take the blue board, Tiltil, and go in front of me with Metil. She put into the boy's arms a board which she held hidden under her cloak, and, all radiant, spreading her dazzling veil with her 2 hands, she ran on, protecting her charges from the onslaught of Time. In this way they passed through several turquoise and sapphire galleries. It was magnificently beautiful, but they were in the kingdom of the future, where Time was the great master, and they must escape from his anger, which they had braved. Metil was terribly frightened, and Tiltil kept nervously turning around to Light. In my opinion, Time is a jolly fellow. Don't be afraid, she said. I am the only person one time I respected since the war began. Only mind that you take care of the blue bird. It's gorgeous. It's quite blue. This thought enraptured the boy. He felt the precious treasure fluttering in his arms. His hands dare not press the pretty creature's soft, warm wings, and his heart beat against its heart. This time he held the blue bird. Nothing could touch it, because it was given to him by Light herself. What a triumph when he returned home! He was so bewildered by his happiness that he hardly knew where he was going. His joy rang a victorious peal in his head that made him feel giddy. It was made with pride, and this, worse luck, made him lose his coolness and his presence of mind. They were just about to cross the threshold of the palace, when a gust of wind swept through the entrance hall, lifting up Light's veil, and at last revealing the 2 children to the eyes of Time, who was still pursuing them. With a roar of rage, he darted his shite at Tiltil, who cried out. Light warded off the blow, and the door of the palace closed behind them with a thud. They were saved, but alas, Tiltil, taken by surprise, had opened his arms, and now, through his tears, saw the bird of the future soaring above their heads, mingling with the azure sky. his trim wings so blue, so light and so transparent that soon the boy could make out nothing more. Oh, we finished the chapter finally. Hope you enjoyed. Philip surely enjoyed my cuddles, and see you for the next chapter.